It's the Joseph Clement Show. I'm your host, Joseph Clement. Let's get started. Alright, so I had a request to do a talk about a book called Ender's Game. Ender's Game was originally a coming-of-age young adult military science fiction novel about a child called Ender Wiggin, who is humanity's only hope against an alien invasion of giant bug people. So these bug people, bug creatures exist. They're real. There are giant, walking upright, walking on all legs bugs that have intelligence, that have certain psionic, quote-unquote, psychic abilities, certain telepathic abilities that can communicate with you by talking into your head. And if you think thoughts in your head, they can hear it. But it's limited by distance, and they have to be fairly close. So this is real. Okay, so that is real. Creatures like that actually exist. Now, let's look at the main plot of the story, okay? The main plot of the story, very interesting plot, I would say. But let's look at the main plot of the story. The main plot of the story is the imminent doom of humanity. Okay, so that's kind of cliche, right? But the imminent doom of humanity by these giant bug people. Okay, starting to get a little bit less cliche. Okay. So the reason why this franchise is so... the claim to fame of this franchise, okay, this is the real reason why it's famous. This is not the reason why that you'll hear other people talk about. Is because this is the first time in a quote-unquote science, quote-unquote fiction setting, in science fiction entertainment as a medium, this is the first time that this particular type of framework of a story came out, where you take kids, you kidnap kids that are very smart, that have genius levels of intellect just from being born as geniuses. Okay, so you take all these kids that were born as geniuses, and you take them when they're young and you train them out in space, you train them out in a space station, you train them out in other places, off the world. All right. You train them to become soldiers, to become warriors, to become fighters. Okay. So there was never really a story framework like that before. Okay. This is the first time that that's ever happened. And this also happens in reality. Okay. People kidnap children, take them off the world, train them to become soldiers. This is real. This is also true. Okay. That is also true. Now, as a follow-up to Ender's Game, because I don't want to just talk about Ender's Game because this is important. I want to talk about the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is the fact of taking kids, training kids off planet, off of the earth, and training them into being soldiers, warriors, killers, what have you. Another popular young adult science fiction, military science fiction franchise being Halo has the same type of setup. Okay. It's a very similar setup. In Halo, okay, if you look at the backstory of Halo, you won't find this if you just play the video games. But if you read the novels, if you read the comic books, you'll find out the backstory of Halo. In Halo, it's the same thing, where they take kids when they're young that have an aptitude for certain things, okay? And you train them and whatnot into becoming warriors and into becoming killers, basically, into becoming soldiers. Same thing with Halo. But Ender's Game was the first one to market. Ender's Game was the first one to seed that idea into the consciousness of society at large. This idea that you take children and you take them off of the world. You take them out of their environment. You take them out of their situation. You take them out of where they were. You take them far away. So far away, they're not even on the planet anymore. And you train them to kill. You train them to fight. You train them to make war, okay? You teach their hands to make war against the enemy. The enemy being a threat, a non-human threat of extinction level event, non-human threat. Okay? So that idea is rather new in terms of the medium of entertainment, okay? In terms of the medium of science fiction entertainment, that idea of taking kids, bringing them somewhere far away off the world and training them to kill, that idea is new in terms of the entertainment part of it. This has been going on in reality. Okay, this has been going on in reality. I have firsthand knowledge and experience of this. So when I think about it, it's pretty shocking how accurate some of the things are, but it's not totally shocking. It's pretty shocking, but it's not totally shocking. Okay. So in the book, they describe the workings of, in the sequel, I would say. I don't know if it was described in the original book. I never actually read the original book. I only read the sequels because I saw the movie and I didn't feel like reading the book. But so in the sequels, they describe the workings of the ships and the workings of the technology. And in the sequels, it describes that the technology that they were using to kill the bugs were the technology that the bugs themselves had invented. And that was kept a secret. Okay, it was kept a secret from everyone, basically. Almost everyone. It was kept a secret from the kids. Okay, so during the book, there was a mass disconnect between what the people on Earth were told versus what actually happened. Okay, so all the government in the book, all the governments of the world covered up everything. Obviously, they couldn't cover up the fact that there was this imminent invasion happening, but they covered up all the details of everything. So that's obvious, okay? So governments covers things up all the time because that's the nature of government, is to be corrupt, okay? You give people unaccountable power over vast majority of people, and you have those same people believe that they're better than people, and you have those same people not believe in God. You're going to have corruption and evil and wickedness. So that's obvious. So to me, the story really is a tragedy. And I would describe the story as one of a tragedy, especially if you read the sequels. Okay. These kids, especially Ender, they didn't get to grow up to live like a normal, happy childhood. So basically in the story, the way that they decided which kids were going to be trained, taken away from their families and be trained in this place in space somewhere, is there was this kind of lotto raffle type of testing type of combination of things where if you ticked all the boxes, then you basically kind of had to leave. Okay, and they passed rules and laws and stuff stating it because, this was wartime footing. Everyone thought they were going to die. So when everyone thinks that they're going to die, this is a beautiful opportunity. Never let a good tragedy go to waste, as someone has stated. So you never let a tragedy go to waste. And so the government used, they being the governments, used this opportunity to really become more dictatorial in their power. So instead of being more of a soft dictatorialship, where it's kind of a secretive, hush-hush dictatorialship where you kind of know that it is, but you're given enough leeway to make it feel like it's not. Like, it was outright dictatorial in its way, okay, in the way that it was operating. So in the book, there was a multi-governmental, quasi-governmental type of organization, okay, quote unquote, this space fleet or whatever, that wasn't really beholden to any one government in particular, though a lot of governments did contribute to its formation, but they weren't, the resulting organization somehow had its own jurisdictional governance over itself, basically. So in the book, that's how it was basically organized politically. There was political aspects in the book, and the movie didn't really touch on the political aspects so much, but the book did touch on the political aspects much more. So the movie, the political parts of things were left out big time. They just didn't really talk about it so much. But in the books, it was really much more detailed. The political type of back office politics type of, jockeying and whatnot. So that was also in the book. Now, in terms of the truth of that book, let me talk about the parts of the book that the book was right about. Kids are trained to become soldiers out in the depths of the black of space. That is correct. That is reality. Spaceships that can travel very fast and very long distances. That is reality. Lasers, that is reality. Bug people, that is reality. Do whatever it takes to get the job done, that is reality. Colonizing other planets, colonizing other worlds, that is already reality. Operating out in space, doing different things out in space, way out, using very advanced spaceships and whatnot, that is reality. All of that exists. All of that exists right this very moment and is going on right now as I speak. It is happening right now as I speak. So that's right. That's true. Now, of course, that's all covered up. And unless you have firsthand knowledge and experience about those things like I do, then the only reason you believe it is because you just believe it. So either you're going to believe it because you've lived it or you've have firsthand experience. So it's not really belief. It's just knowledge at that point because it's literally your experience. So now it's no longer belief. But if you haven't had firsthand experience and you still believe, well, then you're just blessed with knowing what's true and what's not.